Okay, so let's deal with one of the main intro ideas for object-oriented programming. That's the idea of encapsulation. Encapsulation is basically when you're trying to hide things from the public, where you're basically trying to simplify the usage of the object. You should never really be able to go at your internal variables. You should always control what's going in, what's coming out. So, but then how would you then set the name or basically how would you stop that? So I will tell you that the way to sort of create an object here, we're kind of right now creating an instance of pet. We're creating an instance of pet, right? This is constructing Oreo. I haven't told it how to construct it, so it's going to basically give me an empty pet. What I want to do is I want to basically have the option to create Oreo by passing in the name and the type, and then basically control everything only through accessor methods. So to do this, there is actually a default function here. Now I could easily just go ahead and go like set cat or whatever. I tell you what, let's just do it. Set pet. So I could do the set pet, which would basically have in it the self, the input name, and the input type. Okay. And then what I would do here is I could go, okay, this guy here, well, let's do this, colon. Wait, someone really wants to get a hold of me over here. I'm just going to make sure. Wonderful. All right. I'm sure. Are you sure you guys want to be in this industry? Okay, let's hit this button and go. And let's hit this button and grab the type. Grab the type right like that. And go. And that should be good. So that would be a nice sort of set pet type. And so what I could do now I've done that, is I could basically say, hey, I'm going to pass in Oreo. I'm going to pass in cat, and that's going to simplify this quite a bit. Okay, throw that away. And let's do Starbuck and comma, and let's do GP. And let's get rid of that. So now these two lines are going to construct pet with Oreo and cat. So let's run that. All right, so there's Oreo, and it blew up because that object takes no parameters. Oh, Grant, that object does take no parameters. You know what I needed to do? Excuse me. I'm actually ahead of where I want to be. I'm sorry, guys. I'm ahead of where I wanted to be. Okay, again, you don't normally do it like this, so that's why I got it. There's my actual constructor. Remember, I just said that we're taking sort of the default processing. There's my actual constructor, and then what I just did is I basically created something called set pet. That's what I did. All right, so let's do that now and see how that goes. So there's Oreo the pet, Starbuck the pet, Oreo set pet is still blowing up because set pet doesn't exist because I'm not thinking like an object. It's not equal. It's Oreo, set your pet, Starbuck, set your pet. So let's go ahead, close, remove my shame, go again. So there's my pet, Oreo set pet. Boom. Okay, so that's doing what it's supposed to do. Thank goodness for that. There, Oreo get pet. Awesome. Good deal. And then we do the prints like usual. So what I've got here is I've got this line creates a variable, constructs an object that now knows how to do a set pet. And it also knows how to do a set name, a set type, a get name, and a get type, as you can see down here. A Starbuck is a variable with a blank empty pet, and then it knows how to do a set pet. Now what I've been trying to get to is this idea. You could do a set pet, but there's actually a nice way that you could basically build something called a constructor, an initializing process. And because it's assumed that almost every object you're going to want this, it's built into the very fabric of Python. It's underscore underscore init underscore underscore. So what this does is this is the initialization routine. It's going to override the default, and it's going to do this instead. Okay, so that's an initialization. So what I should be able to do now is what I tried to do a few minutes ago. I should basically be able to pass in pet, and I should be able to pass in this information. I don't need this anymore. And I'm going to visualize execution and hope that I got all my syntax right. So there's Oreo. And notice we went right into the constructor. So that worked just great. Just great. All right, look at that. Okay, and then we get the prints. We're going to be fixing the print in a minute too. All right, so when you see these two underscores, it's a private method. I cannot call Oreo dot underscore underscore init underscore underscore. This is a private method. It can only be used from within the object, but it's built into the fabric of Python that that the pet or any class, actually, it's built into the fabric of Python that any class has the ability to do an init. All right. Now let's fix this line, because this will be sort of another one too. Right now, let's imagine that when I want someone to print an object, I want it to look a little bit cooler. I'll tell you right now, if I was to go print and feed in Oreo, and I was to go print and feed in Starbuck, and I was going to go, and let's just go straight to the end. Look at what the two print statements gave me. What they did is they gave me the actual memory address in hexadecimal to where these two pet objects are. That's what it did. That's probably not what I want. I would love it if when I went print, I would get this line right there. I'd love that. So how can we do that? Well, one way to do that for sure is to create myself a nice little function, which I'm going to basically call print pet. Okay, and print pet is going to have the self. It's going to have the p name and the p type. Okay, so that's what it's going to have. It's going to have itself, the p name, and the p type. So colon, and it's basically just going to be this print. Actually, it's not going to be a print statement. I'm going to go make myself an output string, which is going to be assigned, and it's going to be that line right there. But it's not going to be Starbuck. It's going to be the self dot get name and the self dot get type. That's actually dumb. Why would I do that? I'm not going to do that. I'm actually just going to get the self dot p name and the self dot p type. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's no reason for me to use an accessor again. So let's just do that, the name, and let's do that with the type. All right, so right there, that. All right, and that's what the string is going to be. And then I'd like it to return that string. All right, I could have gone return up here and just return that, but you guys know by now I like to, especially introductions, I like to break things down. So now I just want to, I'm going to call that. So this is going to be print pet. So instead of these print statements, I'm going to go print pet Oreo, the object Oreo, not the string, and I'm going to go print pet Starbuck. Okay, visualize. Let's go fly to the end. And it got mad because again, I'm not thinking like an object. I'm not thinking like an object. Oh boy. Oh boy. You know, it's Oreo that knows how to print Oreo's self. It's Starbuck that knows how to print Starbuck's self. Sometimes it helps if you can talk your way through that. Let's make sure those are right. So Oreo knows how to print because Oreo is a pet, and the pet's defined here. Starbuck knows how to print because Starbuck is a pet, and pet is defined here. So let's go ahead and run it again. And it still got mad because, oh, yeah, that's a good point, Ashley. That's a good point. I don't need to pass in these variables. I just need to have it basically passing in itself. We'll get this. We'll get this. That's what I need. I just need it to pass in itself. And if this doesn't work, okay. Yeah, right there. So that did work. Okay. All right. So we learned a couple lessons there. Doesn't want to say learned, but whatever. We learned a couple lessons there. So when we hit line 26, okay, so we've just done and created the Starbucks pet. As we go forward in time, we're now going to go to Oreo and go print pet. So it goes to the Oreo's object, it finds that particular method, creates a string in itself right there, and then that string gets returned. As it's about to get returned right there, it's going to end up flying out. I can't even remember where am I now. Oh, that's right. This is where the printing. And now we're about to go do the same thing here with Starbucks. So that would be like one way you could basically control how an object prints. If you're quite happy with this, if this is the way you want people to see your object whenever you do print it, there is actually a nice default method, just like there's a default constructor. Let me put that up here. Right. I can't remember what this is called, but there is also a default way to basically print, a default string method. And what this default string method will be is if I basically now remove these print statements and basically say print Oreo, I've overridden the way it converts an object to a string, and I say basically do that instead. Right? So I've overridden that. So if I go ahead and I go next, okay, so let's go through all that. Print Oreo. So now notice, by the way, it actually already knows what it's going to look like here. So if I go next, off it goes. Now that's pretty solid what we've got there. We've got now our constructor, and I should have looked it up, but I can't remember what this is called. But this is basically what it does: is it overwrites the conversion of the object to a string, so that instead of getting the memory address, you're actually getting what you want to see. And also now, if I wanted to, notice that Oreo knows how to change his name. If Oreo decided that I would like the name to be the other cat, which I had, which is Princess. Princess was not really a princess. But if Oreo wants to decide to change to Princess, or if later on I want to know, well, what actually is Starbucks type? So I can go Starbuck dot get type. Yeah, all right. And if I visualize that, and I go next, and so notice that I kind of flew past it, but Oreo did know how to set Oreo's name, right? See, here's Oreo is now Princess, and then Starbuck here is now being created, and Starbuck, I can access its type, should show up here. There it is, and then now it also has overwritten the print. All right, so that's kind of that's a pretty cool little object and a way to use the object. Lots of battling in my brain for that, but that's actually pretty good. So what I would encourage you guys to do is to try some of this code out on your own. And the next video, I'm going to talk a little bit about inheritance. All right, so that's it for this one.